Hello and welcome. It was day one of the second G20 meeting on Environment and Sustainability Working Group meeting in Gandhinagar city of Gujarat today, which is showcasing water resource management as the overarching theme. On the show today, we will tell you how the insightful talks will help in tackling environmental challenges and climate change while promoting transition towards cleaner energy systems. All that in a news-packed show today. I'm Bhadacharya. First up, the top stories. Second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting begins in Gandhinagar city of Gujarat. Delegates exchange best practices in water resources management on day one. Global perspectives shared on participatory groundwater management, climate resilient water infrastructure and water use efficiency. G20 delegates visit tourist spots in Gandhinagar on day one of the Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting. Delegates learn from India's age-old tradition of conserving natural water at the Adalaj step well. Also visit Sabarmati siphon structure, Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited, Sabarmati Escape and Sabarmati Riverfront. Ahead of the second Infrastructure Working Group meeting starting tomorrow in Visakhapatnam, a series of Jan Bhagidari or public participation inspired events organized in the coastal city. More than 100 artists bring to life walls and rocks with murals depicting colorful landscapes, animals, birds, G20 logo and flags. Vizag City Marathon and Vizag Carnival organized at the RK Beach. And the stage is set for the first Trade and Investment Working Group meeting in India's financial capital, Mumbai, meeting to begin with an international conference on trade finance on Tuesday. The focus on day one of the second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting in Gandhinagar was on the sustainable water resources management at the basin level and exchange of best practices on the use of integrated planning supported by technological intervention and public participation. Delegates showcased the way forward to achieve water security that will in turn provide impetus to high economic growth and prosperity. Delegates stepped out on an excursion too. Here are more details. Day one of the second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting got underway with a side event in Gandhinagar. The side event focused on global perspectives and best practices on universalization for participatory groundwater management, climate resilient water infrastructure and water use efficiency. Debashri Mukherjee, Special Secretary in the Ministry of Jal Shakti, addressed the meeting where she emphasized on the pressing need for collaboration and knowledge sharing in the field of water resources. She appreciated programs and innovations in the field of water resources undertaken by G20 members.
It's a very useful exchange of experiences, best practices that the G20 countries and the guests share with each other about water management, water efficiency, improving water quality, the use of water, and we have heard examples from all over the world related to rivers, lakes, piped water, and I think it is really an assembly of the best practices in the world that the Indian G20 presidency is bringing together.
As part of the side event, an exhibition showcasing Jal Shakti initiatives was organized. Delegates visited stalls displaying exhibits, informative posters, crafts and innovations of India. The Life Pavilion saw G20 delegates experiencing life in augmented reality with Prakriti, the mascot of Mission Life of the Government of India. Prakriti is the Hindi term for Mother Nature.
That's why the blue economy is a priority to preserve ecosystems and build economic resilience.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership and vision on millets and millet products are being promoted in all G20 meetings. In the same spirit, millet stalls have been put up in Gandhinagar. After the side event, G20 delegates explored Gandhinagar's top tourist spots such as Adalaj Vav, Sabarmati siphon structure, Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited, Sabarmati Escape and Sabarmati Riverfront. The famous Adalaj step well, located in the village of Adalaj, close to Gandhinagar district showcases India's ancient water management practices. Earlier, upon their arrival in Gandhinagar, G20 delegates received a traditional welcome. With inputs from Meghna Dev in Gandhinagar, Bureau Report, DD India. DD India correspondent Meghna Dev spoke to French delegate Stéphanie Crouzat on the climate sustainability agenda of the meeting. Take a listen.
We are joined by Stéphane Crouzat from France, a delegate from France, who's come for the second this environment as well as climate sustainability working group meeting. So, how do you assess the first meeting and since then the progress that has been achieved and the second meeting which is underway now?
Well, first of all, we're delighted to be in India again. We had a wonderful welcome in Bangalore and now in Gandhinagar. It's it's really wonderful to be able to converge all together and to work on a crucial issue of our time, which is the protection of climate and the environment. And we're hopeful that we're going to make much progress in this second meeting. I'm dealing with the climate side in particular, and we have a lot on our plate, of course, because time is ticking. We all saw the report of the IPCC that came out, the synthesis report, telling us that we're absolutely not on track to respect our Paris Agreement goals. So it's very important that the G20 come together. We collectively represent 80% of world emissions, that we collectively tackle this issue for the sake of humanity.
How do you assess when we are actually, you are here at this pavilion which is actually showcasing what India has done in terms of water conservation and water management techniques. You also were there when the discussions on representations were taking place in terms of water management. How do you assess, different techniques, best practices of different countries that is shared on a platform?
Well, that's what's so great about G20 grouping, is that the experiences are so diverse. We have different ways of dealing with that very important issue, the protection of water, and water now is becoming a scarce resource. In France, we always expected water to be there as much as we wanted, and we've realized that it's not the case. We had terrible drought last year. We had drought circumstances in the winter. And so our water reserves are in fact much lower than they should be. So we're realizing that climate change is hitting also the question of water scarcity.
DD India correspondent Meghna Dev also spoke to South African delegate Shakira Parker on the best practices shared and mutual learnings on water resources management in the side event today of the second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting in Gandhinagar.
Ma'am, first of all, how do you assess the second meeting that has begun just now? The first meeting definitely concluded and was quite fruitful. So how do you assess the note on which this meeting has been?
So I think it started on a very positive note, carrying on from the first meeting that took place in Bangalore in February. Today, the session really focused on sharing experiences between G20 member countries and invited guests on water resource management. So countries were sharing best practices in terms of initiatives that they are undertaking with each other. So I think in that sense it was a very fruitful session, and all of us learning from each other what we're doing in that area.
Yeah. And in terms of the different countries giving presentations on their techniques, best practices of water management, conservation, how do you look at it?
We did deliver a presentation on South Africa and one of the projects that we are undertaking in terms of blue and green certification processes and what that is involved in back home. So I think that was a good best practice from our side to share. And hopefully other countries will be able to learn and come to us and be more interested to learn from that particular project in the future.
So how do you assess under India's presidency, definitely climate and environment being an important critical sector, and time to look at the sector and give it more focus?
It has been heartwarming to see how climate and environment over the last few presidencies has gained in prominence as an issue within the G20, and India is certainly taking it forward. We're talking about critical environmental issues under the Indian presidency, from biodiversity management to climate and land degradation, which is important for South Africa as well, and for the African continent as well. So I think it's really important topics that are being shared, and the blue economy, another important one that is being undertaken by the
India correspondent Meghna Dev also caught up with Khushvinder Vohra, chairman of the Central Water Commission, on how India is sharing its best practices on water conservation to the delegates. Take a listen.
We are also looking at different aspects in terms of water management and conservation. Today there's an excursion also planned in the terms of historical water conservation and the modern types of management that we're doing in terms of water. What do you have to say about it?
Today, first of all, we will say that today we have very, very interesting best practices over here. That was sharing the best experience with each other, and a few of them were very interesting in respect of strengthening the grassroots people who are doing that. So like you said that regarding the cooperation and other things, India is actually now moving very fast in the water sector. So we have a lot of experience in the water sector. In EU also, we have already have the cooperation with the EU, so we are moving very well. But the other countries which were there too, like Denmark also, we are doing very well with them, and there are a lot of other MOUs in place for that matter. So sequel to that, we'll be moving towards today the field visit. So we'll be having one of the best structure is there, which is since ancient time over there. And thereafter there is the iconic Sabarmati crossing, siphon, and there's a whole lot of arrangement, and then probably we'll be looking at the Sabarmati front as well.
So, I have a question in terms of this very huge exhibition which is called this Jal Shakti Pavilion. Number of schemes, number of things that the government is doing has been showcased here. What are the other insights, or we can say what is the agenda of having it here in terms of G20 delegates also witnessing?
Yes. This exhibition basically is a thing which we can where the people normally come and see. So this is a point where we want to showcase what exactly we have achieved in India and where we are today. There were time when we were in the learning phase. So there were time when we were, we have learned and tried to do something. There is a phase now that we have learned many things and we are ready to share it with others also. So now we can even, we are in a place that where we can share our best practices with the other countries, G20 even these countries as well. So now we are poised to, we are looking forward to help others as well.
Subodh Yadav, Joint Secretary in the Department of Water Resources in the Government of India, spoke to DD India correspondent Meghna Dev on how water resource management has emerged as the overarching theme for the first time under India's G20 presidency. Take a listen.
We are talking in terms of the second meeting now, the first concluded in February. What is the progress that we have achieved so far? Because the meeting is underway and there are still few meetings to go for the ministerial now.
So as you know, there are various themes which have been identified. Now this is one of the theme, and in this theme the first meeting was purely on the environmental aspects. This is the second meeting overall, but the water as a theme, this is the first time. And this theme, water is the main focus area. Various issues connected to the water, those are being discussed in addition to the general issues on environment. As far as the water is concerned, as you know, even the other countries also, G20 countries, they have come out with their best practices, which they have presented also. And even the other invitee countries also, they have also come out with their presentations. We have our presentation. India has, we have our presentation, which we'll also do. So the intention is that let there be convergence about the best practices and then how those practices can be taken forward.
In terms of India showcasing its best practices, what will be the major contents of, because India has been doing a lot in terms of water management, building water management infrastructure as well as conservation techniques?
So see, we are concentrating on four aspects. One is the river rejuvenation and let us say river economy itself. So how not only limited to the point of cleaning the river, but as a sustainable economy, how it can be created, and Namami Gange model is being projected for that. So that is one of the aspects which we are taking forward. The second is that in general, how the climate resilient infrastructure can be created. So as you know, there are effects of climate change. How those effects can be effectively neutralized, and how the water infrastructure can be created. That is the second aspect on which we are concentrating. Then, as far the India is concerned, the groundwater dependence is absolutely profuse. So how the community can be involved in terms of the participatory groundwater management. That is the third theme which we are concentrating, kind of a thing. And fourth is our regular theme through the Jal Jeevan Mission and Swachh Bharat Mission. These are our successful schemes. So how these initiatives can be taken forward in the other countries.
So definitely we are seeing presentations on water management from different countries, the G20 countries, and also where India is also showcasing its expertise and the best practices as well as success stories that it has achieved in the recent past. With camera person Umesh, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Gandhinagar.
Devashri Mukherjee, Special Secretary, Water Resources, Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India, spoke to DD India correspondent Meghna Dev on the focus on water resource management. This is what she had to say.
Ma'am, we are underway this second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting. First of all, the three priority areas that were decided since the inception meeting, how are we progressing on that? If you can give some insights to it.
So, today we've been this session was dedicated to water management, and we had requested all the G20 countries to share their best practice stories on water management, which we have compiled, and this will go on the G20 water portal. Okay, so we want to sort of enrich and replenish the G20 water portal. But with that, we had all the countries present one of their best practices, and we got a great response. So we got there were presentations from the G20 countries, there were interventions and presentations from the member countries as well as our international organizations, covering a gamut of issues on water management, on integrated water management, flood and drought warning systems, data-based water management, partnerships and collaborations on water management. So a whole range of issues, water and energy nexus, and I think this is a unique opportunity for us to learn from each other.
Yeah. So ma'am, how do we actually assess when we're talking about specifically in terms of blue economy? There's a lot being talked about. So are we also taking it forward simultaneously with the other priority areas that we have designated?
Yes, we have.
Also, there's a question on, the different countries sharing the best practices today in terms of water management and conservation. Are we also looking at tech transfers or different areas in which we can cooperate and collaborate?
Because yes, definitely we are looking at collaborations. We already have memoranda of understanding with multiple countries. Many of them are our G20 members as well. But what we do want to do is to strengthen the G20. There is a G20 water platform for sharing best practices, technologies, things like that. We want to strengthen that and make it a much more regular forum for sharing. That is one of the purposes.
A craft bazaar showcasing culture and heritage of Gujarat has been given space at the venue of the second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting. The bazaar showcases weaves, prints and crafts from different regions of Gujarat. Here's a look at what's in store for the delegates and what delegates have been enjoying today.
We are here at the Crafts Bazaar, which has been showcased here at the second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting in Gandhinagar, which is showcasing a host and variety of handicrafts, handloom, culture and weaves of India. So we will take you to a few stalls and few places which are showcasing what have they got in for the delegates here, and we'll be talking to a few of them. First we have here this beautiful stall on weaves, different kind of weaves we have here. Please introduce yourself and tell us what are you showcasing here, what are you showing to the delegates?
Okay, so we are here from Garvi Gujri. It's a Gujarat State Handloom and Handicraft Corporation Development Textile brand, where we cater among all the artisans of Gujarat. So here we have each and everything from the Gujarat, from handicraft to handloom, from small products to the biggest product. We have product range starting from ₹100 and it goes upon lakhs also. We have we deal with around thousands of artisans. We deal in around 35 crafts. So Gujarat is a rich cultural heritage where we have n numbers of crafts, and you can see our store. We have from paintings to sari to dupatta to each and everything.
Yes. So what we basically see here at this stall is that from different regions, from different areas of Gujarat, what is the culture and what is the heritage that is being showcased here for the delegates who have arrived here for this working group meeting. We have more stalls here, and we'll talk more on what is being showcased here. Can you please tell us what you are presenting here to the delegates? What are you telling them about?
We are presenting over the agate products, which is origin from the Khambat, and we are the manufacturer of the agate products. We are making the amethyst stones, which is origin from India. Again, red kaolian. This was the actual agate akik, actually name of the agate, and some bracelets like crystal, lapis, lava. All these products are used in the Reikis, Vastu, healings, and many different ways. This actually the main purpose was because the public don't aware about the agate products, what are the akik and all, and they actually don't know that properties and purpose of these products. So we are here to encourage the peoples and to use these products for their good health, better lifestyles.
We'll tell you more about it. Sir, what are you showcasing here? What is that? What flavor of Gujarat are you presenting for the delegates?
These all products are basically of Ajrak block print, and we are creating some ladies wear and this kind of stuff and representing over here.
So this is this all handmade? Is there this organic product? This is pure cotton?
This is skin friendly and eco-friendly color, and totally process is handmade.
You see, so many, pieces of tribal art you are showcasing here. This platform, in terms of G20, when we use, we have an opportunity to showcase these things here. How do you look at it?
So I think this is a very good platform where we can represent our culture and our heritage itself. And through this platform, we can, I can't say, but we can help our tribal peoples to generate revenue, and we can provide them a platform where they can, create their livelihood, and they can empower themselves. Yeah.
So definitely what we see here is a showcase of beautiful heritage, culture and art from different places in India, specifically because we are in Gandhinagar. So a lot of art and culture from the different regions of Gujarat represented at this crafts bazaar, at this working group meeting in Gandhinagar. With my colleague Devshi Varataria, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Gandhinagar.
So that's about Gujarat. What do the upcoming days have in store for us? Well, the city of destiny, which is Visakhapatnam, held a series of Jan Bhagidari or public participation inspired events ahead of the second infrastructure working group meeting under India's G20 presidency. Visakhapatnam City Marathon followed by Vizag Carnival were organized at the RK Beach. Not just that, wall paintings beautify Visakhapatnam ahead of the second infrastructure working group meeting starting the 28th of March. More than 100 artists worked on bringing life to walls and rocks with murals depicting colorful landscapes, animals, birds, G20 logo and flags. A bouquet of cultural events were showcased to the G20 delegates at the Bogibeel riverfront after the G20 Research and Innovation Gathering Conference successfully concluded in Dibrugarh, the tea city of Assam. The delegates were delighted to experience the rich cultural heritage of the state. Cultural performances included dance forms of the indigenous communities of Assam like Satriya dance, Jhumur dance, Karbi dance, Tiva dance, Bodo dance, Kamrupi Loko Geet, Golpara, Loko Geet and Bihu dance. And on that note, we come to the close of this edition of India at G20. Thanks for watching.
अरे वाह, लेजेंड की बैट, इससे तो मैं खेलूंगा। फ्यूचर बैटिंग लेजेंड बैट।
इसमें जिसका नाम लिखा है बैट उसी को मिलेगी।
अरे यार,
देखा, अगर इस पे मेरा नाम नहीं लिखा होता तो कितनी दिक्कत हो जाती। इसलिए आरबीआई कहता है बैंक अकाउंट हो या बैंक लॉकर, उसमें नॉमिनी का नाम जरूर दर्ज करें ताकि आपकी जमा पूंजी उसी को मिले जिसे आपने नामित किया है।
आरबीआई कहता है जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
As an IAS officer, you were part of an NGO called G20. Is there need to move from that space into active politics? Weren't you achieving enough as a civil servant and as well as an NGO activist?
Yes, I've had a very exciting life in the IAS, extremely exciting. I mean, every job I have enjoyed. I also proved that if you want to, you can really achieve whatever you want, you want. But there is a question, I don't want to miss out on things. As an IAS officer, your mandate is to do things which is decided by the political executive. They take the policy decisions and you are implementing this. I said, why not become a policy maker? So that's why I quit IAS, even though I really loved IAS, and became a politician.
Decoupling emissions from growth. So India's vision is very clear. Collaborations that India is having with various organs of the UNEP in terms of combating triple planetary crisis.
So with India, we see the vision, we see the commitment in the health, in the environment and health sphere. You start to look at India in terms of technology. You start to look at India in the UN Environment Programme in terms of the nitrogen agenda. India is under the G20 to come up with a few large areas where we say India will take the global stand, but of course that means that there will be demonstrable impact. Do watch me on DD, and I will talk about India's G20 engagement. I'll talk about climate change, nature loss and air pollution.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dechan Sering, for taking out time for DD India. We must tell our viewers she's on a very brief trip to India. Ms. Sering is Regional Director and Representative Asia Pacific for UNEP, that is the United Nations Environment Programme. Such a pleasure talking to you, ma'am.
Very nice to meet you, Ms. Sakalba.
Thank you so much. To begin with, let's just quickly try to understand from you, rather read your thoughts on India's commitment at the Global Climate Summit recently at Glasgow. How much do you think the distance has been covered, and especially the kind of targets India had set at the Glasgow Summit vis-a-vis SDGs 2030?
If you look at climate change, I mean, yesterday, actually 2 days ago, the IPCC released a report that would really look at the 28th UN Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference of Parties. And if you look at it, before I go into India, maybe to say about 79% of the global greenhouse emissions is from the G20 countries. And India is a significant part of the emissions that come from the region. And we did a review of what you call nationally determined contributions. That is what countries commit to. And if you add it all together, emissions are going to be